my older brother, Ryan, Caitlin's older brother. And for those that don't know me, my name's Kevin, Caitlin's other, funnier, more successful, smarter, more handsome older brother. And for those that do know me, just let me have this. I want to start by thanking some very important people sitting here today. Laura, Howie, and my mom. Thank you for everything that you've done and being an integral part in making tonight possible. I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say this, but you all look stunning tonight. That part was more meant for the moms, but Howie, you don't look too shabby wherever you're sitting. You're welcome. Next, I want to mention two very important people who've also been brought up today, who aren't in this room with us. Zach's dad, Chet, and our dad, Stephen. Well, they aren't physically here. I'm sure they're looking down right now, watching and smiling. I can only imagine how happy our dad is seeing his only daughter marrying the man of her dreams, and thinking to himself how beautiful you really do look tonight. And she does look beautiful, right?
Yeah!
Okay. Speaking of Caitlin, growing up with her, I've been able to watch as she became the person she is today. Ever since I can remember, Caitlin has always been one of the smartest, most talented, and most driven people I know. And honestly, even as her older brother, she's someone that I look up to. With that said, anyone who's ever done anything with her probably knows that she's one of the most competitive people they've ever met. It's to the point where it would make me nervous to play games with her. Something about our family is that we love Nintendo games. Specifically this one game called Mario Party. I don't want to toot my own horn, but let's just say if this became an Olympic sport, I'd be representing the U.S. wherever it is. And I'd end up with a medal, at least something. Knowing that, Caitlin still always wanted to play this game. And each time she asked, and I would think to myself, you sure about that? My sister is a perfectionist and has very high standards. So even though she would occasionally win, I'll admit that, when she did lose, which was the majority of the time, she would not be happy to say the least. Bear with me because this will relate, but fast forward to her senior year of high school. Our high school would have a yearly father-daughter dance, and I was lucky enough to beat my brother to the punch in asking my sister if she would take me as her date to that dance. And my sister has mentioned how much this has meant to her, but truthfully, I think it really meant more to me. Sorry. My brother stole the show at that.
I don't feel bad anymore, yeah.
Like I said, where was I? Like I said before, my sister has very high standards and deserves the best. So honestly, I felt I didn't deserve to be standing with her on that dance floor when she emphatically said yes when I asked her. That was one of the happiest moments of my life. I know that there is no replacing someone's father. But Caitlin, thank you for allowing me. God dang it.
Can you hug your brother?
Thank you for allowing me to do my best and make me one of the proudest brothers imaginable. And I'll take a break. We'll have one closing break.
So he ends off on that story, and I wish I thought about that, and it's probably the only time I've ever been jealous of brother kind of. So when that happened, I actually ran to the closet, put on my suit and tie, and made sure I got a picture with Caitlin. Just like relive that moment. But Caitlin, you're the little brother I wish I always had. Actually, I'm pretty convinced we're the exact same person. We're always on the same page. We're both not so closeted nerds and extremely type A. And although I'll concede that as far as rankings go for smarts, you're always the number one, which is, as Kevin mentioned, is a title you're very well accustomed to. One of the only things I've actually finished first and was beating you to UNC Chapel Hill by 4 years, and one of my biggest regrets in life is not completing a collegiate victory lap so that we could have overlapped and run Chapel Hill together, both on and off the pong table. And which, speaking of pong, you are my go-to partner for life. All those late nights in the basement of our childhood home, an air hockey table, and a certain door that was inexplicably always off its hinges has continued to pay dividends. I'd like to think that I've taught you a lot beyond just pong, but of course I never gave you a lesson on how to drive. Get me in front of that one. The day you announced your move to Manhattan was one of the best of my life. I was happy to help you move in, taking on various chores, including installing a precarious AC unit, building furniture, as long as it meant that I got to spend more time with you. Having my best friend and little sister now in the city, I mean, what could be better? I'll tell you what. When she moved into her second apartment on 49th and 2nd when I was living at 50th and 1st, shout out Phil, what a legendary apartment that was. I've enjoyed keeping the Tar Heels magic alive through countless watch parties at Slattery's or whatever other bars we've discovered before home base, may it rest in peace. Although I will say, any bar can become a UNC bar if you just shout, Tar!
Yeah!
Obviously, we still do that and we'll continue to do so forever. You've mentioned before that you felt like you've always followed in my footsteps, but the truth is that as long as I can remember, it's me who's looked up to you. You inspire me every single day, and my life is so much better because you're in it.
I've composed myself. So remember when I said my sister is a perfectionist and has very high standards? I wasn't lying, and I think nothing is a better example of that than her choice in a husband set.
Yeah!
And everyone here know that Zach's actually a published author. Yep. He wrote a fantasy football draft guide a few years ago, and as a fantasy football player, I of course bought it and read it front to back right away. Funny enough, that year when I read his novel, I didn't make the playoffs in a single one. With that said, what Zach lacks in fantasy football knowledge, he makes up for in being a good person and being the perfect complement to my sister. Meeting Zach for the first time was like meeting with friends that I've already known for years, and I truly mean that. It was immediately apparent to me that Zach was a keeper, not just by how he treated my sister, but also because of his amazing character as a person and just a friend, as all of you know and have heard many times tonight. The fact that he is the worst Mario Party player I've ever met also doesn't hurt because it meant my sister would finally be able to beat him. But, sorry. No. He's really bad. I'm sorry, this isn't a roast, that's right. But in all seriousness, Zach, you really are an amazing person, and I'm lucky to be able to call you my brother from this day forward. Love you both.
I thought no man could ever be good enough for my baby sister, but Zach, you were proving me wrong, and you know how much I hate to admit when I'm wrong. You're the best thing that has ever happened to her, and also probably the best thing that's happened to me because I finally have someone to commiserate with when both the Mets and Jets ever so painfully continue to let us down. It's another thing, right? The letdown of our favorite franchises. Though, this bond we share for crappy franchises has helped us bring us closer together, so at least there's that, and Kevin, you can also join, go Bears. That is if you ever actually showed up to a Jets game you committed to. I remember being there with Crystal and Caitlin after your first date on Zoom, as you heard a lot tonight. It went way better than she could have expected for a virtual date, and she felt comfortable with you right from the start. In fact, things were going almost too well amidst this virtual courtship, as she admitted she actually thought you might be too cool, as you heard today. I think it was because you were wearing a hat featuring like Stanley from The Office dribbling a basketball. And as of course, we know Zach's a big hat guy. Zach, I also remember the first time I met you, when you came downstairs in our Long Island home, and without even looking up at you from the couch, I asked, "Are you good at beer pong?" Jury's still out on that one, after your admittedly poor showing on the table. But needless to say, we proceeded to play many games of pong, and despite your questionable talent, I could tell how happy you made Caitlin, even though it was still early on in your relationship. You and your family have been incredibly kind to us, and I've loved getting to know your friends, especially Chopi, who did a great job officiating today. Chopi's become the volleyball setter for our 3-time champion and currently undefeated co-ed volleyball team. Shout them out. But seriously, Zach, you've always made me feel like a part of your group. Joining various affinity sports leagues, maybe I can get into the Cousins League at some point. Tackling both unlimited brunch and dinner on the same day while watching Red Zone at home base, or the countless apartment parties when you still lived with the boys. You are such a genuine and caring person, and truly have become one of my best friends. And I'm so excited to spend the rest of my life with you. Caitlin said something similar about my now wife, Crystal, at our own wedding, and I've been looking forward to returning the sentiment. Zach, you've already been my brother for a long time, but I'm so happy it's official now. I love you so, so much.
We did it. We completed the 6 sibling and significant other set with the final piece of the puzzle tonight, and I think we can all agree we saved the best for last. If you'll please join us in raising a glass to celebrate our all-grown up baby sister, marrying the man of her dreams, the third. Go out, brother.